is what I'm doing. I'm just contributing. So, if they're doing it, they have to look at all the other people that are doing it to them in different areas or arenas.
Yeah.
And you get out of this world what you put in it, right? We do have a question about the whistleblower thing. Is Seymour Hersh correct about the Cheney assassination squads?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Okay. Interesting. That's interesting.
We actually hit on that in an aside a few reports back. Maybe it was like 709 or 909 when we started talking about the disappearances and how some of the disappearances weren't going to be what everybody thought they were.
Yes, exactly. I remember that now. I do. I remember that. I remember part of that. It's like I slept since then. So, these reports are extremely intense to read.
They're voluminous. Most people should stay away from them. There's hundreds of pages of crud there, yeah.
Oh, God.
Well, it's true. It's true. I mean, really, I hate to, I have people that they don't tell me about it, and they're paying for these things out of their Social Security money. And that puts a huge karmic burden on me. They should be buying food. They shouldn't be reading my crud here.
Well, and that's why you're on shows. And I know you talked the first few times you were on my show. That's what you said. Go listen to me on all the radio shows I'm on because I'm going to tell you what's in the reports.
Right. And if we have anything that's urgent or needs to get out, we throw it up free on George Uhr's site.
Yes, absolutely. And by the way, I have a lot of people that have commented to me about your site, George's site, and that they appreciate it, and they go there and they read it all the time. So it is a huge help. So you can certainly plug that as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we've only got a few more minutes, so let's go ahead and take these last few questions because we're going to go to the top of the hour, and then we come back, we're going to get into the rest of the Alta reports. I'd like to get into the latest one, and so we can give you enough time before the end of the show to talk about your latest projects and some other things that you're doing as well.
Sure, sounds good.
And let's see, I got to go back up because there's some... do you know if China's plan to make the IMF the Supremo World Bank pan out, and is the IMF even an improvement over the BIS?
The IMF is the IMF and the BIS in terms of the international settlements, as well as the World Bank and the World Monetary Fund, are essentially creatures of Congress. What apparently has occurred is that China has manipulated the rules to their benefit and have forced a situation that will come out fairly quick, and we'd sort of hinted at it with our counterfeit gold and all that in a previous report, and we'd gotten it wrong slightly. It isn't counterfeit or phony gold, it's missing gold, because what's going on is that China is going to force an audit of the American banking system all the way down to Fort Knox.
Wow.
It's going to cause incredible problems. The resistance alone is going to cause problems, because that's going to separate the people from the ruling elite even further, because no one's going to understand why the ruling elite are fighting so hard to prevent this. But the IMF and all that kind of stuff is essentially a distraction to what's going on. Bear in mind that I operate as a synergist. I have a tendency to step way back and look at the big view. And you cannot recapitalize any kind of a banking structure with debt. You need assets. What we're attempting to do now is to resurrect a system that died, and no amount of pushing on it or shoving debt in it is going to help. So any of these IMF, et cetera, they're all distractions, and you can pretty much just go about and tend your garden and not worry about them. It won't work.
And honestly, if they just set it up, it's just a way to placate people is what it was.
Yes, and we're going to have hyperinflation. There seems no doubt it's baked into the cake now, and things are going to get dramatically worse economically within the United States specifically over the course from October 26th of this year through to about early 2011, with a big nasty hit for us somehow between November 5th and, say, the end of December economically. It'll be quite staggering, and it may be that at that point we have a schism with the world where our powers that be say, no, we're not going to let you audit Fort Knox, or something, line in the sand kind of thing.
Yeah, and that right there could be, that can be misconstrued if we do draw the, line in the sand with that. But that's when a lot of the truth starts coming out about what's really going on, that there isn't have anything to back up, the paper money and all of that stuff, and I've had people on my show, Clif, that have talked absolutely, several different ones, not the same person, but talking about the whole, money and the whole paper and how it's really printed and where it goes to and all of that. And people still just kind of go through their world like it's,
That will change. Wait till November, December, yeah.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that because we're almost at the end of this hour, because what we're going to do is we're going to take a 5-minute break. So if anybody needs to get up and refill their coffee, their water, or juice, or whatever you're doing there, please do that. We're going to take a 5-minute break. We've got a lot of people listening. We're going to welcome some other affiliates on here after this. So you guys, please go take a 5-minute break. When we come back, we're going to have more of Clif High right here on Your Needs with Rebecca. Please don't go away. Stay with us. Welcome to Journeys with Rebecca, and we are here with my guest tonight, Clif High. We've had an absolutely fantastic first hour. We have a lot of questions, and what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be running through this quick list of questions that we had before the end of the hour in the first hour, and then we're going to get right into the Alta Report number 4 with Clif, because that's the one that has some of the most intriguing information in it to date. Not that any of it before it wasn't, but for me it just really kind of was eye-popping. So we're going to get through these questions that we had very, very quickly, and so that we can move into these reports. So some of these questions could probably be answered in these reports. We are going to address them for you. Let's talk about, does the reports say anything about how big a pole shift will be, or will it be a total reversal or a shift? And if a shift, how much? And to use common sense, and where will the new equator be?
We have nothing specific. Bear in mind that our reports are generally bringing in language that would be viewed after the fact. So we don't have any numbers that say, X number of degrees. I personally go along with what Hapgood says, that more often than not, if we have a crustal shift, it's going to be 30 degrees or so. So if you're at 60 degrees, which is close to the Arctic Circle there, then you might be shifted down to 30 degrees, which is where Texas is, northern Texas. That gives you an idea. But no, I don't have anything in the reports.
Okay. Next question is asked about the discontinuity he saw in November 2000 year as opposed to the revolution.
It's still on track. It's a slowly building process. We're seeing parts of the revolution emerge now as the populace of Britain, France, and other countries start coming together around the injustice in the economy. That'll soon hit the U.S., and it'll be rather severe because the hyperinflation is going to crush our currency, and it's all under duality. The dollar is actually going to die as the global reserve currency, although we may still continue to use it within the borders of the U.S., but it'll mean that to buy oil, we'll have to first buy euros, and who knows what the exchange rate's going to go.
Interesting. That's yet to be played out. I can tell you that. There hasn't been any definitive setup for that whole fall of the dollar, the death of the dollar.
No, but we see the language now coming out, whereas years ago we kept saying everybody would be discussing at an international level the death of the dollar. And here with the G20, they're saying, got to replace it with this, that, or the other thing. But the mere fact that they're discussing the replacement of it is sure and certain that it will happen.
Yes, absolutely right. UFO sightings, are they going to increase in the near future?
Yes, dramatically so. Look for some spectacular stuff in Latin America or South America this year relative to the southern parts of the Altiplano. We're getting to the point where it appears there's going to be predicted mass sightings that will actually materialize. Okay.
And any clue as to why they're still holding or hiding the UFO stuff, and if they're going to release any more info to the public for free?
I don't think that, I know why they're hiding it, and it's because it's the source of their power, and they don't want the rest of us to be sovereign individuals and no longer require government or, large corporations and stuff. Our data shows that it's a fight to the finish, and the powers that be are never going to just simply cave in and release any of this. It will come out, but it'll be a crumbling of a large edifice as opposed to blowing it apart.
Okay. Any more info on Burrish or Deagle?
None that I care to share. I don't think that they're worth wasting our time with.
Okay. Next thing is the secret government going to release any information about their anti-gravity craft?
No, it'll come out, but they're not going to release it. As I say, they're going to hang on to it to the last. According to our data, we're actually seeing a schism or a separation of people as we leave the Piscean age behind us and go into the Aquarian age. We're seeing that the structured, centralized governments are essentially crumbling around us. And now that the dollar's going to die, that's going to squeeze the whole shadow government seriously, because they won't be able to steal much anymore.
Yeah, there's nothing left to steal. They've already got it all. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, where did the gold go? Off planet?
No, I think it's just been passed around and thieved by the power elite.
I do too. That's my opinion as well. How long do you think the hyperinflation period will last, and then what?
Our data shows it being relatively brief, not on the order of many years, and at most, I would think, based on our data, I would say 19 months. But it could be much shorter than that, depending on how fast the collapse of the currency arrives. So, in other words, we may see, Zimbabwe's been going along for years with hyperinflation, but only is able to do that because of the countries surrounding it supplying, quote, hard currency. So it'll depend a lot on how that occurs. If we get cut off globally because of refusal to have Fort Knox audited or something, then we can expect hyperinflation to be very brutal and very long.
Okay, and that's just something that's going to have to play itself out a little bit when we get some more information on that.
The language is too hot for us to be able to determine. We live in the world of nuance and subtle shifts, and if everybody is always excited about a particular subject, we don't really pick up a lot in it because there just isn't much wiggle room, so to speak.
Okay. This next question is kind of interesting because the person asked, is the sun going to turn blue? And I just happened to look up into the chat box, and the second part of that question that this person has asked is the sun going to continue to change color? So I think that's probably...
Oh, I understand. Yes, we initially, when I grew up, we had a yellow sun, and Superman would have had powers. Now it's intensely white, and he would be like the rest of us without any kind of superpowers at all. And from that perspective, indeed, we may see a blue cast to it, and it would certainly be predictable if the magnetic squeeze was hard enough that we would see an electric effect, which could be like a blue plasma.
Interesting. Okay. Are you picking up a major quake on the New Madrid fault anytime soon? Is there anything in the language that's giving you a definitive area?
No. We see that there's going to be, in fact, I'm not saying that it's not going to happen. I'm just saying that within the language, we don't have anything specific for that at this point. We have a lot of stuff about volcanoes and associated damaging earthquakes along the coasts of both Americas, north and south, and in the usual suspects, so to speak, in Indonesia and that area. But a lot of it will be volcanically related, magma movements and so on. So,
right.
So New Madrid may go if it's affected by such things, but we don't have any specific language to it. Again, that turned out to be a real hot area. Ever since FEMA has been pumping out their literature, it kind of degraded our language sources around that particular area. I'm hoping to have it clear up here over the course of this year.
That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And we've got a few more questions, and then we're going to quit taking questions for a while, so I'm going to let you answer a couple more here, and we should be done with this batch. This one is from Brendan. She said, in the last interview that you and I had, you said that the powers that be, hang on just a minute, would be taken into a portal this spring. Please tell me if that's still on track, and if the Obama and our puppets for the New World Order will be taken up as well as the dignitaries of other countries who are part of the New World Order.
No, it's not quite that way. I mean, I didn't mean to give that impression that they would all be kicked off